Today I'm going to be showing you how to build chunk loaders for Minecraft 1.18 and above. The item list for these chunk loaders is in the description below and also going to be shown before the tutorial so you can easily see them. Now make sure to check the pinned comment just in case there's any information about anything that I've missed in this tutorial, or if this information is outdated because of like a future update or something like that, because these chunk loaders should still work in future versions. So now let's go through some theory about chunk loading. So over here is like a chunk loader, so this represents one chunk loader. So this is the area that it loads. So let's go through what this area means. So let's start off with the white zone. So the white zone is the entity processing. So this means that entities can be processed in this chunk. So stuff like snow golems and also zombies moving could still be processed in these chunks here. But stuff like moss farms, shulker farms, iron farms, and loads of other farms too, that kind of use bone meal. So entity processing chunks are really useful for that sort of stuff. Now I'm going to turn this chunk loader on right now. So the way I'm going to turn this on is I'm just going to put an item aside here. So now that this chunk loader is on, I'm going to go over here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to open this up. Now as you can see, these snow golems are going to be attacking this zombie. And that triggers this redstone here, which as you can see down here, it's hard to see because it's in white, so I'll move over here so you can see it. It says OK just down above my crossbar. So that's done by using a command block. And now what I'm going to do is, to prove that this is all loaded, I'm going to run away. So I'm going to move further away from this area. So now we are really far away from it. And as you can see, I'm still getting the OK right here, which means it's still loaded. Now I'm going to show you what happens if we turn the chunk loader off. So we don't need to actually travel that far, but as you can see, we've got no OK just above the crossbar. So that means that the command block is unloaded. So now you might be wondering what this redstone layer is. So this is the redstone processing chunks. So redstone can still go on in this area, but entities can't function at all. So stuff like redstone brewing machines and item storage. So now to test this out here, I've got the same setup as in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you that entity processing doesn't actually work in this chunk here. So if I turn this on, now over here it displays OK, pretty much the same as this one here, and as you can see the OK should turn off. And it has, it's completely disappeared, and that's because the snow golem isn't being loaded anymore properly. It's only being redstone loaded, which is not enough for the snowballs to hit the string and cause the command block to output. So let's turn this off right here, and we'll turn on this little command block here. This is just a repeating command block that repeatedly says OK. Now as you can see, the OK is still over here, which means that it's loaded. So redstone processing is still loaded in that area. Now next onto the last set of chunks. So this is the furthest area of chunks that are loaded, and these chunks don't really do too much. They do a little bit, but what they do is any like mobs or entities in this area will still count to like the mob cap. So this can be used for like mob switches. So these shulkers here will still count up to the mob cap. So over here I've got 12 shulkers. Now if I use the carpets feature in the carpet mod, you can see the mob caps. So you can see there's 12 different hostile mobs in the world, which are these shulkers. Now what I'm going to be showing you is that redstone doesn't work in these chunks, but I'm also going to show you that these shulkers will still be loaded in these chunks. You'll see in a few seconds that the OK will disappear. Now if we go over to this island here, and we place a carpet here, as you can see those 12 shulkers still add up to the mob cap, because they're still loaded by the chunk loader. So now if you want to see that the actual chunk borders themselves, I'm going to show you right now. So if I do F3 and G, as you can see we can see the chunk borders. So in the center here is the chunk that the chunk loader occupies, and then we've got a surrounding group of chunks which are 3 by 3, and then we've got a single chunk layer around it, which is redstone processing, and then we've got the normal chunk around it which is loaded, but you can't really do too much in it. Now over here is a chunk loader. So this is the chunk loader which I showcased a year ago, and it's pretty decent. It does have a few flaws, but it's still really good. But I've kind of optimized it a little bit, so I've added some light blocks here, and this is to stop any light updates from the redstone lamp, because that can happen and that can be quite laggy at times. But I'm also going to link the video to this chunk loader in the description. I'm still going to show you how to build it in this video, but I'm just telling you what I've done with it. Now the issue with this chunk loader is it can be unreliable. So sometimes when you leave a Minecraft world, it unloads, or sometimes in servers, on server restarts, it can break, and the item can just disappear. So what I've done is I've altered it a little bit. So I've made this version here. So the version over there I'd advise that for single player worlds. For this one here, this is better for multiplayer, because on server restarts, I've added a system where the item can be refilled to this chunk loader. So this is not necessary in single player worlds. Now I've also come up with another chunk loader design that's slightly better, because it doesn't actually detect from the dropper, because there's multiple items inside here, which does make it slightly more reliable. So I prefer this chunk loader over those two other ones, but I found the other ones are slightly more compact and are slightly more cheaper than this one. So now first, I'm going to be showing you how to build this chunk loader over here. Then I'll be showing you how to build the chunk loader right here. So now next I'm going to be showing you how to build this chunk loader. But I'm also going to show you how to build this chunk loader at the same time. So what I'll do is I'll start off by building this one, and then from that one I'll build onto this one. So now the item list for the first one is over here. So it's all these items here, it's also in the description below as well. And then the item list for this one is over here. Now this is just an add-on, so what you need to do if you're building this one is you need to add the items in there with the items in here. Now first you'll need to find the chunk that you're building this chunk loader in. So I'm going to be building my chunk loader in this chunk here. Now what I want to do is I'm going to be building it in the center. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my droppers. So I'm going to start off by going from the ground and going 1, 2, 3. And then on the third one, what you can do is you can place some obsidian here, and then a dropper on top of this dropper, like this. And the dropper should be facing in this direction here, so that it's facing into the nether portal. Now we're going to construct a nether portal, so just put a block down, put a temporary block, and then put some obsidian just on this side, and then a block here, and then some obsidian on top, a block just next to this dropper, and then some obsidian. Now you can break these blocks here, we don't need them. Next we'll need our hoppers, so we're going to put a hopper just facing into this dropper, and then also this hopper facing into the hopper next to it. We're going to put some rails on top of these hoppers, then a block on the side of this rail, and then also a block on the side of this rail too, just to make sure that these hopper minecarts can't escape. And then just put some hopper minecarts like this. Now make sure the hopper minecarts aren't inside each other, otherwise you won't be collecting all the items. Now from the side of this dropper here, we're going to put a comparator, and make sure the comparator's next to this hopper. Now put a shroom light over here, and make sure the comparator's facing into the shroom light. Put a redstone torch on top of the shroom light, get a redstone lamp and place it on top of this redstone torch. Then put some observers facing into these droppers, and they're going to be observing the redstone torch and this redstone lamp. Now light this nether portal, and then start filling in all these blocks. Now then you'll need to enter the nether dimension. Now when you're in the nether, your nether portal will spawn in a random location, which is not very useful for us because we want to make sure that these portals are linked. So if we go to the overworld again, now if we open our F3 menu, we can see the coordinates. Now what we need to do with our coordinates is we need to get our X coordinate and then divide it by 8. Now once you've got your coordinates, build your nether portal in that exact location. Now if you're having issues with linking the portals, then try and find the Y level of where your chunk loader is and build your nether portal there as well, because that can help with some extra linking. Now also go around checking other nether portals, making sure they don't link to this portal here, because that can cause a lot of issues with the chunk loader too. So now once you've got your nether portal, you can start digging a little area. Now if your ground is like this, then you can just dig. So now once you have a nice little area, what you're going to do is you're going to get your droppers and just jump up like this. And then what we're going to do is we're going to get some blocks. Now we're going to build up, and we're going to shift across here and face a dropper into this nether portal. Now place a hopper facing into this dropper, and also a hopper facing into this hopper. Then some rails, and then blocks on either end. Now place a hopper here and here, well, hopper minecarts really. Place a block here, and then a comparator facing over here. Place a shroom light over here, and then put a redstone torch on top of this shroom light. Then put a redstone lamp on top of this redstone torch. Then face some observers into these droppers. Now get your building blocks and start filling this in. Now also fill in the other side too. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to unlight this portal and just place some blocks in and then light it again. And then place some blocks over here, and you've got your chunk loader finished. So now to start the chunk loader, you need an item. So I'm going to put this glow ink sack inside here. And as you can see, the chunk loader is working. Now if you want to reduce the light updates, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a torch and just place it on top of here. So now if you want to make the chunk loader more reliable on a server, then follow this next step. So we're going to place a repeater facing this direction, and then some redstone dust over here, and then some comparators. Now we need the comparators on this side facing in this direction, and then the comparators on this side facing this direction into this redstone. Now get some redstone dust over here, and then a block on here. Now you're going to need your slab, and we're going to place a slab just under this block. Now what we can do is, to make it slightly easier, we're just going to break this, and then we're going to get our repeater and just place it on top of this slab. Then a redstone torch on top of this block. Then we can replace this minecart. And as you can see, so if we turn on heat boxes, so now as you can see, the repeater's hitbox is big enough to hold this minecart. Now then, you'll be getting your dropper and just face it into here. And make sure it's facing into this lower dropper here. And then what you're going to do is you're going to put your glowing sack inside this dropper. And then that's your chunk loader done. Now if you want to toggle it on and off, all you need to do is just put a lever here on this shroom light. Now next I'm going to be showing you how to build this design. So now the item list for this design is over here, and it's also in the description below just in case you're wondering. Now we're going to be building this one in the center of the chunk again, so I'm going to start off by getting some temporary blocks. I'm going to place a column and then a obsidian just on top of this column, and we're going to build a nether portal. So let's place a block here and some obsidian go upwards. We'll break this block and we'll put a block next to this obsidian and some obsidian on top. A block under this obsidian and some obsidian going downwards. Now under this nether portal we're going to go down and we're going to place a block here and just under this nether portal. Then we'll be placing a comparator and also a comparator facing in this direction. Then some blocks, a comparator, and then another comparator, and some blocks, and some resin dust. Now we'll place a block, some resin dust. Now we'll shift click into this comparator, and a block. Then we'll place another block, a repeater on 2 ticks. Then shift click a block into this repeater, and some redstone dust. Then shift click into this redstone dust, and place a block. Then place a comparator inside here, and then a block on top of this redstone dust. And then place a redstone torch on this block, then a block, and then another redstone torch. Then place a block on here, and then another block on top of this other block. Then some blocks, then face a dropper in this direction, and then go look downwards and face a dropper upwards. Then go round inside this nether portal, and place a hopper facing in this dropper. So make sure it's facing inside this dropper, so the items will go inside this dropper. Then shift click a block on top of here. Then place a temporary block down, and then a full block there. And then a full block in this gap here. Now that's the first side of this chunk loader done. Now what we're going to do is we're going to light this portal. Now our portals ended up over here, so what we're going to do is we're going to go through the portal again, and we're just going to make sure that the coordinates match. So we're going to do the same as what we did with the first chunk loader. So if we go through this portal, now we're going to go into our F3 menu again. Now what we're going to do is we're going to divide the X coordinate and Z coordinate by 8. Now once you've got those coordinates, that's where your nether portal should be. So make sure your nether portal is in the right location when you do that. Now once you've sorted that out, what you'll need to do is you'll need to make sure that no other nether portals link to any of these portals. Now make sure that these portals don't link to other portals as well, otherwise you're going to have a lot of issues with chunk loading. The chunk loading just won't work at all. Now once your nether portals are fully linked up, what you'll need to do is you'll go through your nether portal, but you need to face the direction in which the dropper is shooting the item. So the dropper here is shooting the item in this direction, so we'll face this direction and we're going to go through the nether portal. Now the item should be shot in this direction, which is where we'll be picking up the item. So we'll break a block right down here, and some blocks. Now place a dropper facing upwards, and another dropper facing in to the nether portal. Now this is where the items are going to fly out, so we're going to put a hopper down. Now we'll get our comparator and face it outwards, so that it's able to detect this hopper. Then we'll break this block and replace it with a nice block. And we'll put a redstone torch down there, and a block on top of the redstone torch, and another redstone torch in its place. Now just some full blocks next to this nether portal, and we'll also place a full block on top of this comparator, and on top of that block. Then we'll put a full block there, and just there, just to fill this gap. So now what you'll need to do is you'll need to fill the dropper with items. So go down here and just fill it up with as many items as you can. So I'm going to fill it up with, I'm going to pretty much fill it up halfway, and that should be enough for now. So now we're also going to fill the dropper here up with blocks, so I'm also going to fill this one halfway up as well. Get a redstone torch and just place it down on the side of this block here, which is next to this pulse extender. Then what you'll do is you'll get an observer and face it upwards. Then put a block and some redstone dust over there. Now if you want to turn it on, you can just use a lever or observer and just flick this on and off quite fast. And now the chunk loader is working, so it fires at items quite quickly, and that's kind of a good thing because it means that this chunk loader is more reliable and items aren't lost as much. So now the world download for these chunk loaders is going to be in the description below, so if you need any help with this sort of stuff and you just need to see the world download to help out, then you can do. Now if you also need other help as well, you can also join my Discord server where I'll be able to help you there, or all my other helpers will help you as well. Now if you'd like to check out some farms which you can use these chunk loaders for, I'll have some cards that will appear in the corner, and I'll also have this end screen right here which shows off an iron farm that you can build, or an auto brewing machine. You can choose which one you want to build, but those two work perfectly with a chunk loader, so I definitely advise you build them.